eclipse in Aries transit video. So yeah, that's pretty cool, right? You have the new moon solar eclipse, normal in Aries, normal, not as normal as that is in gate 51, which is actually the spring equinox hexagram in I Ching. So it's thunder with thunder initiation times 1,000. So in both of our sources, in the Karen Curry Parker Quantum Human Design, that is the gate of initiation, and in the Gene Keys, it's the gift of initiative. And so it starts with the shadow of vegetation, the gift of initiative, and then the city of awakening. And so this is just get your butt started energy. It's also big change energy, like abrupt change energy. And so it tells you a little bit about what's going on here. The chapter for this one is called, in the Gene Keys, is called The Portal of Fears. And it's about this drive to compete with each other out of just wanting to survive and seeing that not everybody does, right? Having extreme circumstances, extreme shakeups in your life. I believe this is called in the I Ching the gate of shock. So it's literally like shock you into back to life, hopefully, or shock you into a new way of being, right? So it is Aries, it is leadership, it is about who we are really. And it is also the channel, it's one of the keys for the channel, engine keys of uniqueness. So it's part of what's needed. You need to start where your core being of who you are, Aries, the official leader of the zodiac cardinal sign. And it is definitely about being the one, and the leader. So yeah, so if you aren't in a great place, right, that shadow will show up, that agitation, that wanting to cause agitation, being like kind of even subversively competitive, it can come out that way. It can just come out as straight up anger and hostility, and like just blowing things up, as well as I'm sure you've heard in different versions of what is going on in this energy for this new moon solar eclipse. So the fear comes from unexpectedness because our brains work by predicting things, and especially things that can go wrong. And because we know that there's always a potential, because we don't know exactly what to expect all the time, we start getting agitated and wanting to be more secure. But everything that we can see externally, or even people, our partners, when we're trying to, like, if we're trying to find love, or we find relationships purely out of a need to survive, out of a fear of being alone, that you feel like maybe it makes you more safe to have a partner, which is natural. Yeah, like, we support each other as humans. So when you have an official human, that feels like security. But the truth of life is that nothing is secure. There can always be a big shock, right? So it's that fear and that truth and that reality that keeps us wanting to know everything beforehand, and to not trust our potential, really. So it basically is a lack of trust in life, even. So the power is stepping into creativity in life and your life purpose. This is what this key is for. It's supposed to like get you shook up so that you can go do something that is supposed to be what you're doing. This energy feels like, there's no way to get it right, so it feels like taking a big chance. But that's really one of the keys to success, is to take the leap, to go and to go quickly. Because in the state of shock, like speed is a really honored and supported in this energy. So I have a quote here. We have shock directly challenges the very bedrock of the reality and your attachment to that reality, the false security of the shadow of consciousness. So that is what happens. In the shadow of consciousness, we feel like that we can or should, or it's a possibility to be secure. And in this 3D body, that's not necessarily and all the way true, right? This 3D body is going to pass. So there's no real security there. So that's why people have to learn how to build trust beyond the physical. And yet, even in the book, it says trust is not emotional or intellectual, but physical. So where do we find our security? We find it in the body. This is something that makes it very important. My work very important to me. That's why I'm always sharing it, because you can't depend on outside, because anything can happen, especially in real life, in real moments. If you ever have been on stage, you can't expect anything to always go exactly the same, exactly right, and you can expect something surprising to happen. That's one of the funs and the joys of like performance. And this key is kind of the embodiment of that. It becomes something, in order for you to feel completely secure, it can't depend on any one thing outside of you. And so it has to be a physical feeling within the body, and that is what we practice with the Almonds, the vocal resonance method. So that's what you have to do. You have to build that trust, that availability in our body as an experience, and then let that be the standard instead of keeping grasping for everything else. So yeah, so that's what's going on here. We're here in this moment to let the available energy give us. And if you're ever curious, yes, I have astrology sessions. They can help you see what purpose in action looks like for you. They can help you align your business so that supports you and you're not sweating for it. And it can help you with your branding, finding something that's authentic, that will last even as you evolve and change in your services and ways of being. So since all my people are about spiritual evolution. So yeah. So if you ever want to know, just go to the description box and you'll find the current link for what's going on with me. So the other part that we're going to bring in to understand what we get to operate with right now. And now remember that the eclipse energy is for 6 months, but the new moon energy is really for 2 weeks. But like when we move on to full moon, that'll be for 2 weeks. But this one will extend because it'll keep going. So the theme of 6 months are these qualities. So you have if you don't initiate yourself, like life tends to initiate for you. Shock, right? Like universe is gonna move you into the position for your life if you aren't taking the initiative. So take the initiative, okay? While there is never a guarantee. Now this is a direct quote again from Karen Curry Parker. While there is never a guarantee that life will be easy, we certainly hedge the bets in our favor when we don't procrastinate what we know is right or inevitable. So that gives you a little key about how important this is. This will be important at any time, but with eclipse energy, that things are already kind of powerful, kind of extremely powerful, and it's a total eclipse in the US. And like there's so much that you really want to initiate yourself into these things right now. You don't want to wait until life makes you do something different to get back into your purpose, or to uplevel your purpose, for those of us that are doing all this work regularly, right? So the challenge here is to not let unexpected events to cause you to lose your connection to that purpose and source, or source and or I sometimes feel purpose is source. It's that what people call the spark. And I think it's appropriate here. So that's the spark of life, how life, that energy is already flowing, like following that spark. I know there's a book about that, but it is part of how we can recognize when we're in flow. You get tingles, you feel more energy, you get excited, you get vibrant in the face. And that's kind of how you know you've caught on to the spark or you're in that flow. Or you lose time. Like time is another really obvious indicator. If you were like, what? I thought I came in here half an hour ago and it's an hour later and you've been starting on this book, this is often the reason, right? So optimally, you want to have this energy be available as a conscious connection to catalyze you and initiate the events of you and being in purpose and on purpose, right? So the thing that I want you to concentrate on this one, so you don't have as much of the background information, but what I want you to concentrate on this one is, what am I here to wake people up to? What are you here to wake people up to, right? It's powerful, right? So that is what? Three things to receive. Number one, receive your next level purpose instruction. Number two, receive your clarity on how you lead, teach, and initiate change. Number three, receive your catalyzing power. So that energy, that feel it. Like, I didn't sleep last night. I was like, what did I eat today that made me not be able to sleep right now? And I couldn't think of a thing. And so, but it is not unusual. For me, new moons are like, sometimes I have this energy, but sometimes it's like this. I just can't go to sleep. Full moons, yeah, it's a little harder usually. The days before and after as well. Or nights, right, when I'm trying to sleep. So that's kind of, I don't know, is that true for you? Like, do you usually sleep well during new moons, full moons, or vice versa? Maybe you sleep well on one and not on the other? Let me know in the comments. I'd be curious what's going on in your energy field. So yeah, and we got the content ideas for your content this, well, if you want to have the same content for 6 months, that's an option. But we do this for the next 2 weeks over in our house. So first piece of content, what makes you a one of a kind leader? So for me, like, I always try to bring in what's going on with me. That one of a kind leader is that I'm not naturally talented. And I think, again, everybody thinks like singers are naturally talented. I busted my butt crying under pianos in practice rooms, crying in lesson rooms, just like losing my whole sense of all knowledge on stage. Like, I've been through some things to develop as a performer. And it was something that I learned how to do. I am not naturally the best singer in the world, not naturally a great performer, as you probably can tell, especially from this recording. But I know how to, and I know how to be on when I need to be on, and I know how to perfect what I desire to perfect, right? And so that takes something. And because I've had to live that process, I let other people find me where they are. So if they have no clue, I can meet them there. If they are, beginners, I can meet them there. If they have had wrong information, I can unwind it, because I know what it is to get stuck in these corners, right? Of who you are and showing up, and also a voice, how to sing, what it takes, what to focus on in performance, how to bring energy, how to give energy, but how do you share the abundance of energy? Yeah. Number two, content. What kind of change do you catalyze? Well, what kind of change do you catalyze? I know for me, it's a safe space. It sounds boring, right? Deep, safe space. But why it's so important for what I do is because some people can't find safety for themselves. And so I get to hold a space that gives them a sense of experienced safety so they can relax into finding that for themselves, right? So I can do that pretty quickly because of who I am and my energy and all the things that I talk to you about every new moon, full moon, right? So what is yours? What makes you like so vital to the change that you catalyze, right? I don't know how I said that. I know it's grammar there somewhere. What are you here to wake people up to? And at first, that's the third one. What are you here to wake people up to? Now, at first, when I saw this one, saw this one in my head, I was like, oh, isn't that the same thing? And I'm like, no, not necessarily. Change is transformation, right? And what you wake people up to is your ideal, what you know is the highest possibility for them. Like, the change itself is the kind of transformation. Like, I can take you from blah to za or something like that. That's actually the transformation itself. What are you here to wake people up to is an idea. It's a world vision, maybe. It's a mindset, maybe, right? Or it's a way of being, maybe. So that stuff is a little bit different, right? So that is another thing that you can point out about your work. For me, is that your voice is perfect and powerful, and your innate birthright to have that power available to you when you desire to use it. So I'm a stand for that, because that's like a pillar, like an ideal, not necessarily the change itself. Your voice is already perfect. I'm helping you see how it is perfect and to work in cooperation so you can know when your intentions are matching your outcome, right? Or so you can have intentions match your outcome. So yeah, so that's your three content pieces. Something to know in support of this energy, if you want to dive a little deeper. The programming partner here is Libra. It's 57 in Libra, and it's the shadow of Aries, the gift of intuition, and the city of clarity. So this is sensitivity. In the programming partner, this what it's doing is kind of reflecting our ability to see the truth. Essentially, is how I'm feeling it right now in my body. So it's really to see the truth, and so that energy from the 51 is doing its best to like bring truth into the now moment. Shock. So it can be shocking. So maybe this is a good time, like, or even a good season, right, to do your shock videos, to maybe a little ranting, maybe your view that a lot of people would disagree with you on. Are you ready to make that kind of catalyzing change? Yeah, because you have to be courageous, because it may not always be a good look when you trigger the person that's not ready for that information, that level of truth yet. But some of us, that is literally what we're here to do, right? Somebody has this as their sun sign, and it's literally their job to shock people, right? And so that is what, but it's a beautiful gift, right? Because it can shock you out of complacency, it can shock you out of your comfort zone, it can shock you out of downhill spirals, right? So it's powerful. It's a powerful energy to be able to kind of bring in a little bit. And while this is kind of energy, it's not a lot that you can harness here. Like, this is really electric, shocky energy, right? It's not something about harnessing, but it's something of like, get the feeling, right? Get the feeling when you get tired of your own mess, when you get tired, when you're ready to see some new levels of success in your business or in your life, then this energy, you want to remember how this feels, right? Move like now, 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 and that aligned to self. Yeah. So the channel completion here is the channel is uniqueness, and that is a Jinki number as well. Uniqueness, the channel of uniqueness. So I love this because basically the other key here is 25. It is a Pisces key. It also moves into Aries. It's one of those dual, straddling the line there a little bit. And the shadow is constriction, the gift is acceptance, and the city is universal love. And so what's beautiful about this one is that it's accepting self. You feel that? It's acceptance of self. And I love that it's coming from Pisces here because it's the self starting in the all, right? Pisces is that godlike, this higher being, knowing wisdom, this expansive, like deep wisdom, right? And so it's taking that allness of your wisdom, and that's you and your uniqueness in this iteration of who you be today in this now moment. Shocked, right? It's very immediate. And the constriction is the shadow. Like we can make us feel that we're wrong because we're so different, or we can make it mean that we're exactly who we're meant to be, and that because we are who we are, we can do something in a way that nobody else can, right? That acceptance of who we are is what allows us to be fully unique and not try to hide or try to pretend like so other people that are not always aligned to how we think feel good, right? If we're in our acceptance of who we are, we don't have to pretend. So it's beautiful, right? So that is your Jinki transit for new moon in Aries, and I hope to see you on the next full moon. So let's see, what do we have for next full moon? We have the full moon in Scorpio. Whew, we're going deep for April, y'all. So start your own chalk. I'll wait for the new
Thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate you being here. And if I don't see you in chat on YouTube, then I'd love to see you at one of my events. Check my links in the comments.